irrespective of the cloud provider. You take Microsoft Azure, AWS, GCP. No, I don't recommend this. Now, what is more important for us is a cloud native tool. What you need is a cloud native tool to build this kind of scenarios. Now, there are tools like Terraform. You can use Terraform if you want. Or, Nishant, the Terraform needs a special language to be learned. Yeah, okay, go for Pulumi. Where you write your programming language in 6 different languages. Sorry, you write your infrastructure in 6 different languages. TypeScript, Python, Go, C#, Java, or a regular YAML, which everyone uses. Anyway, you're going to write this here in TCL. In the TCL programming language, you are going to write. Even though they are YAML files, they will be written in TCL. You're on an average doing the same here. So there are different ways of looking at what works here and what doesn't work there. So either you can explore this or you can explore this. Now, why this? Because if you write in Terraform, you can convert to Pulumi. If you write in Pulumi, you can convert to Terraform. Cross compatibility is there. For example, if you get a JSON file, you cannot convert it to Terraform.
So the Terraform is going to internally convert it to?
No, typically what happens is they don't convert. They actually use APIs. So let me also explain you. For example, if this is Azure, right? What Azure does is, apart from giving you a portal, apart from giving you a nice portal to manage your resources, they will expose an API endpoint. They will expose an API endpoint. This API endpoint you can control using an SDK. Okay. Now what Terraform has done is they have rewritten this SDK into one language. Same SDK is rewritten in one language so that anything you write here in for AWS, for Azure, for GCP, you will write it in one language and then you will apply this against this endpoint. So if you ask Terraform to create a VM, it will be exactly the same syntax you will write. But when you apply this to this endpoint, this will be converted as per Azure requirements. Actually, it is already written in as per the Azure requirements in the own language. In the own language, it is written as per the Azure requirements.
Okay.
And then you apply this against this endpoint, and this endpoint will go ahead and deploy the infrastructure for you. Now here it is coming as one language for AWS, GCP and all. But the problem is everyone has to learn this. What if I have a developer who is already good at Python? Yeah. What I have an infrastructure engineer who is good at Python. I don't want him to spend time in learning something else. Now what I can do, that facility is provided by Pulumi. They say, OK, boss, if you're good with Python, write in Python. If you're good with TypeScript, write in TypeScript. If you're good with Go, write in Go. If you're good with C#, write in C#. Or if you're good with Java, just write infrastructure in Java. Which where most of your Java developer, you can find it, no? You can find most of the Java developers.
Yes.
Which makes industry job easy.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So this is the method that you can choose initially to start with also, because you don't want to be tied up later. The reason I have given you the native JSON files is that, we don't want to introduce you to something else. And that will be difficult to understand. And in a short course, if I introduce so many things, it will be confusing. So that's why I could not or introduce that.
Okay.
Any other questions, friends?
Yeah, I have one more question. We can save the secrets in a vault, right?
Absolutely.
So we can integrate it like a single sign-on using the Active Directory for any of the logins, right? That way we can do it.
Yeah, but the only see that Azure Vault has specific limitations. Okay, this is not like HashiCorp Vault. I'll tell you. You know what? Yesterday only I have delivered a course in Vault.
Yeah, you were telling some 5-day course for Vault, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yesterday only I have completed.
Oh.
Yeah. So for example, let's understand. Here, when I say create a vault, right? I'll just show a very quick demo. We'll spend some good time today answering questions. Much you will have much less lab and more time to discuss. So you can select where from where you can select and all. Let me quickly create one. While this spins up now, I'll just give you a very quick overview of so many use cases that are possible with Vault. Now, when I say Vault, this is very specific to HashiCorp Vault. You remember I was telling that I was taking a training for Vault. So these are the use cases we have discussed with hands-on. How do you generate static keys? Static keys means just you have any key value pair, any keyword, any username, any password. It can be any sentence also. It can be any word also. It can be a file also. A JSON file, certificate and all. How do you store it? That was static secrets key. Then how do you generate an Active Directory username and password using Vault? That means a Vault can go to Active Directory and then create a username password. A Vault can go to LDAP and create a username password. And talking about Azure Secrets Engine. Yeah, how can you integrate Azure Secret Engine with Vault? Then how do you generate one-time password? Have you heard about one-time password? That means
For
SSH.
administrators who want to deploy it once.
No, SSH. So when you log into SSH, you'll get one-time password like OTP. No, you'll get one-time OTP from the console. From the vault, you'll get one-time OTP. Then for every token, there is a private space that gets created and only that token can access that private space within a limited time. Cubbyhole response wrapping. You can use Vault and console as a service mesh. You can integrate Vault with IBM DB2, MongoDB databases, MySQL databases, so that every time you ask Vault, it will generate a random username and random password with permissions. You can manage PKI secrets with managed keys. You have using the Vault, you can build your own certificate authority, very similar to your Microsoft CA in your organization. You can rotate dynamically credentials. You can rotate static credentials. When I say static credentials, same username, but different password and different username, different passwords, randomly generation. Transit, you can use Vault as a secret engine to rewrap the data. We can use KM IP secret engine for key management protocol. You can use Vault with Amazon Elastic Container Service. You can use Vault with AppRole with Terraform and Chef. So these were the use cases that we have discussed in the in my other course. And only Vault, only Vault. These are the use cases. That means these are the ways that you can implement. Now, when I come to Azure Vault, not even 10 cases I can build out of it. I cannot create 10 cases out of so many cases that I have shown, because it comes with certain limitations. Look at the type of keys, okay? It can generate a key for you. That's it. It can store a secret for you. You can import a certificate, but you cannot write a policy, okay, which will go ahead and change something else in a database. That means I want my KV engine, key vault. I want my key vault engine to dynamically generate a database username password. This cannot do it. Can I integrate this with IBM DB2? I cannot do it. Can I go ahead and integrate it with a Terraform or a Chef to do certain operations? You cannot do it. At most, what you can do is just store data and pull the data, because these are the important things that is needed in the cloud. These are the important things that are needed in the cloud. Now, what HashiCorp Vault, which is built, is for the data center world. In the world of data centers, there are so many components that has to be integrated in a closed environment. But when it comes to the cloud, all those are not important. Because of that reason, these are not added. There are other ways of putting the controls. No, you got it, no? Why that is like that? But maybe they will also, they may also come up with a lot more improvements.
So Vault itself is supposed to be like entire complete end-to-end solution for IAM, is it? In general, not Azure Vault.
Not one of the. It cannot do full identity and access management.
You said
Like
it was
for
able, it will
example,
be able to HashiCorp
for
Vault will
example,
be able to do what?
yeah, for example, if I have to take SAP, I cannot integrate a Vault with SAP just like that. So I need to write I need to write my own wrapper. I need to write my own wrapper. For example, what is a wrapper? I'll explain it to you. So for example, I have an SAP system, and I'm sure most of you already have SAPs working in your infrastructure, right? Now what happens is, if this is the Vault, now Vault exposes an API. SAP exposes an API. Now you guys has to write a wrapper in the middle. Now you guys have to develop a wrapper in the middle, because Vault exposes just an API. Now how will you integrate your SAP with API? Direct integration is not possible. Then what you will say, okay, hey SAP, you integrate it with OpenLDAP, and hey Vault, you integrate it with OpenLDAP. Let OpenLDAP do the job. You getting me, no? So now this may be the challenges that you will get in the industry. So one man solution cannot be possible by the Vault. If happens is, then see, Active Directory is something that is there for a longer time now. And if you move to Vault also, you still need Active Directory, correct?
Yes.
Because if I'm moving to the Vault, that doesn't mean I will go ahead and remove the Active Directory, no? If you remove that Active Directory, how will you write the policies? So that means there are no chances that you will remove. Correct? There are no chances
Yes.
that you will remove the Active Directory. So you cannot replace the full identity and access management cycle. There should be something else with Vault.
Okay. Okay. So that sounded like it was taking care of all username, passwords, and all those things.
It can do many things, but you cannot replace everything for
AD
this
and
guy.
LDAP. Okay. Got it.
Because, for example, if I tell you, mm, Vault doesn't expose an LDAP protocol. As a port number, it cannot expose. Then how will you integrate your firewall single sign-on? Because firewall cannot be directly integrated with Hashik or Vault. That's why I said there are so many use cases, but I never spoke about this one. In this, I never discussed about firewalls, firewall integration. What we have discussed is an Active Directory integration and Open LDAP integration.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Nishant, if possible, can we also take a look at some case studies in practical industries usage? I mean, I understand the lab experiments; all of them are independently explainable. I mean, I understand them. But as a case study, is there anything that we can, if we can throw some light, will be helpful?
Like when we say as a case study, did not get you.
Like, let's
See, for
say,
example,
as a cloud security on job, let us say on job role requirements, if there is any case study, like you were just giving one example for integration of SAP and this thing. I'm not sure if that can completely consider as a cloud security aspect, but if there can be
I'll
some
tell you.
any
See, there's
pointers of
nothing like we have. There is nothing like we have designed. We have a case studies. I think almost. See, rather than looking at that way, I want you to look in a different way. Whatever the options are there, we can go ahead and make it. For example, any infrastructure as a service, you can replicate it. Whatever I can do in a data center, I can exactly replicate that in the cloud with the help of a uh, regular infrastructure as a service. Correct?
yes,
For example, I want to build an SAP system on cloud. Is it possible?
yeah, should be possible.
How? Because it is giving you a server, no? If a server is there, I can do anything in that. So that means I can achieve SAP use case, I can achieve mainframe use case. Can I? Okay, let's ask. Can I build a mainframe system here? May not,
Mainframe is
because
hardware specific.
mainframe comes with hardware. Yeah, mainframe comes with a hardware. Okay, Nishant, can I go ahead and build a service now? Yeah, if ServiceNow gives you a software to install, you can install it on Windows or Linux. So that means almost any use case can be achieved if it can be done in a data center. Uh, you're getting me?
Yeah, I mean, from cloud security point of view, what will be the what will be the anything that can really help in getting some on-job experience kind of.
No, all this is an on-job experience only.
I mean, I
Creating a
understand about the
firewall.
options that you're sharing. These options definitely need to be covered. Any statement or any pointers like that, I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what. See, whatever we are doing, no. See, I'll tell you, everything that we are discussing is a use case in your day-to-day organization. For example, you may be seeing that, hey, we have implemented firewall in one day. Oh, I think this cannot be the use case. I'll tell you the difference. Here, you took decision to implement and you did it. Okay. That's why it is not looking complex. Here, you have only written one rule, so it doesn't look complex. You know what happens when you go back to your organization? You will do the same job by waiting for someone's permission. That will increase the complexity. You will wait for someone's requirement to give you. That will increase the complexity. People have hidden many things from you. People could have hidden many things from you. Like, what was the VNet? Oh, no one said to me. What was the route table? No one said to me. Oh, why this is integrated like this? Why port number is that? Why port number is this? Which three networks I need to integrate? No one told me. Now that increases the complexity. Same job you are doing that you have done in the class, you will do it in the industry, but with lot more complexities and lot more people taking involvement in your activity. But it is the same job. See, once you created a firewall here, you will be in a position to create firewall anywhere else in the world. Any Azure environment in the world. But the only thing is, for you to understand that any Azure environment, it will take time. And like you have implemented firewall here in one day with 10 rules, you will not be able to implement. You will implement the firewall in one day only there. But for writing the rules, managing the rules, you have to maintain a lab guide, or you just need to maintain a full guide. Why? Some people will come and say, enable this port from this network to this network, enable that port from this network to this network. So the job is easy. It is making complex. So people, what happens is it will think like, OK, in real time, I'm not applying. Actually, you are doing a real time job only. For example, if you have created a VM here, it is the same process when you go back to office that you have to create a VM. The only thing is in that VM, they will ask you to install a different software. But installation of that software is administration of that software. For example, if someone is asking me to install a IBM DB2 software on Windows virtual machine, creating Windows virtual machine is Azure task, not installing DB2. Installing DB2 is a DB2 administrator task. But in the world of cloud, what happens is they will ask you to install DB2. You cannot tell that, no, I'm not a DB2 administrator. Their expectations are like that. They expect that cloud means everything. OK, they will be able to do everything. That's when you need to say, boss, Azure is different from DB2. I can go ahead and build a database for you on Azure with a different flavor, which is available. But if you have to make me to install DB2 and configure DB2, I'm not a DB2 expert. Similarly, for example, I'll say, let's take a security use case itself. One more. Now, for example, role-based access control. Let's take. Now, in a regular role-based access control, OK, what do you implement in a role-based access control on in an organization? Where and all you will implement role-based access control. Regular data center security. Leave about the cloud. What is RBAC?
What kind of functions can a particular user carry out?
No, that is a theory you are talking. Tell me what is practically you do.
So for
Practically
some
what
set
you
of
do.
practically means like as in the example, the senior administrators, the junior administrators kind of scenario where junior
Oh, you're
administrators will be
taking the
able to do
scenario
some
of
sort of.
Azure then. Don't take the scenario of Azure. Tell me something that you do it in your day-to-day life that you have done in the data center world. So first what you do, you list the employees in the team, correct? In an Excel sheet. This is what reality is, correct? In an Excel sheet, you list the employees. And then you will write system number 1, system number 2, system number 3, system number 4, what access he need. This is called as matrix, role-based access control matrix, no? Are you with me, Sri Krishna?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
what you do or something. If you do differently, I am asking that only to show me. This is how
Okay.
I do. If I was in this situation, I will do this in a regular data center. So I'll ask the list of employees, what permissions each of them need. I'll make an Excel sheet, and then for each permission that they have asked me, I'll create a role. OK, after creating a role, I'll apply this role on the device. Now that device can be anything. That device is an Active Directory. That device is a firewall. That device is an LDAP. That device is a Windows machine. That device is a Linux machine. I'll apply that role. And that's it. Kalas, I'm done. Now this device can be a shared folder also. Now this is a role-based access control matrix. Now the same role-based access control matrix applying on firewall would look like differently from applying on a Windows Active Directory. And it would look differently to apply the same role-based access control on a HR system. But role-based access control is same. Now, use cases means talking about Windows Active Directory is a use case, HR is a use case, firewall is a use case. That means on every device I can create a use case. That's very technology specific, no? But role-based access control is role-based access control. The method is going to be the same. This is device specific. So that means because I know role-based access control doesn't mean I can go ahead and configure it on a firewall. Because I know role-based access control doesn't mean you can log into a SAP HR system and configure a payroll roles. Because I know role-based access control doesn't mean you can log into FortiGate or FortiScout SIM and then deploy it there. Correct. That is FortiScout skill, but role-based access control concept. Windows Active Directory, role-based access control concept. HR system, RBAC concept. Firewall, RBAC concept. Conceptually different from usage. The configuration is different there because device specific configuration has to be done, but role-based access control is role-based access control. For each role, you're giving a couple of permissions based on their role, based on their usage, based on their expectations. Now,
Okay.
this becomes complex when you go back to the industry. Here, I have given you 3 people to configure, right? You're going to do same activity for 3,000 people in your organization. And here you have done one day, the same thing you will do 10 times a day with other works. So that will become complex. So in a regular day-to-day world, whatever you learned, you'll exactly see the same. But in a different environment, different people getting involved, and same activity repeated. For example, here for 4 users you have done. Maybe there you have to write for 400 roles. Here you have given 4 permissions. There you may have to give 400 permissions. That difference. It is the scale at which you do changes. That's it. Ultimately, same technology, same way of implementation.
Okay. Nishant, as I understand what you're telling is the core concept of RBAC will remain the same depending upon the requirements. The use cases or case studies will change.
Yes.
So there was one picture which you referred some time back, wherein you showed all the CA/CD pipeline and whole of that entire Azure diagram.
Yes, yes. Correct.
So, let's say if there's a fresh requirement, as in some organization has to migrate entirely to the cloud, having all their different wings like the development, engineering teams, and HR teams, and all of them. So in that case, hypothetically, how should we proceed? How should we architize? I mean, how should we provide a architecture solution in such a way that the migration can happen smoothly?
Good. Very good question. First thing, you should have knowledge on all the components being an architect. Now, let's use knowledge on all tools. Now, when I say knowledge on all tools, what do you mean? You should know end-to-end tool knowledge and their functionalities. It can be anything. You should have full knowledge on those tools. So if you say, Nishant, in our environment, we are using for example, FortiScout. Do you have knowledge on the FortiScout for migration? Okay, we are using NetApp storage devices. Do you have knowledge on that? Okay, Nishant, we are only talking about security. Let's talk security. Okay, we are currently having Splunk. Now I need to migrate my Splunk to Azure. There is a difference. Now, do I need to migrate my cloud to, my Splunk to Azure cloud is different from migrating from Splunk to Azure specific SIM will be different. You're getting right?
So in the first case, it is about user data, which is along with the local organization. But in the second case, collection of user data itself starts from the Azure itself.
What is this collection of user data? Did not get you.
As in the logs for monitoring and all will happen with the Azure application level itself.
Yeah, that is for an SIM. That's for a simple SIM. No,
Okay,
we are
so I'm
not on the
not
same
clear about
page.
the difference. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
not clear about the
let's
difference
understand.
there. Yeah.
See, for example, you asked about migration, right? That's what I'm
Yes.
talking about. See, so let's take one part of the piece. Now, okay, let's ask me this question. What are the areas that you are comfortable in security? Or what is your background? Like, okay, Nishant, I'm good at 1, 2, 3, 4. You can just tell me that. Which technology, take any technology in the world, you tell me, I'll try to adjust my way of discussion with you so that, accordingly we can bring out the best out of it. Yeah.
I have networking background, so mostly
Excellent.
that.
Networking background. Hey, so my question is, I want you to implement a network for us. That's it. That is my requirement. Will you,
Okay.
what is your, what do you do? We want you to implement a network for our office. That's it. Khalas. That's your job. Now, what questions will you ask me?
Hey, Nishant, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good.
Sorry, I got disconnected.
No worries. Yeah, you can ask me your questions. I want you to implement a network. I'm giving you this task for our organization.
Yeah, so there is an equivalent virtual network concept in the Azure, which I
No,
can
no, I don't care.
use.
Don't bring virtual and all. Very simple. For my office, I want to implement. Did I ask you for cloud? Why are you jumping into cloud?
Okay. For local means I'll go by the networks, then I'll do subnetting and I'll provide VLANs and then I'll create
Why I
subnets
need all
and
that? I have only 10
bridgeheads.
employees.
I can
Did
provide
you
a
ask me how
small.
many employees? Without asking
Okay.
how many number of employees, how many teams sits in your organization, what are their roles, what kind of data management they do, what kind of applications you have, how will you design my network? You have to ask me these fundamental questions, no? Look at the point
Yes.
of view.
Yes.
See, you started in the implementation. I am starting from an asking questions. If I ask you right questions, you will get right answers. Did you ask me how many number of systems on an average is going to be connected to system? Without that, how will you do IP subnet masking? Think if you go ahead and enable 256 IPs, think you have enabled me 24 cider range. I am telling that I have 10,000 employee. Then how will you increase it? Oh, you will create another VLAN. You will create another network, then merge the network. Did you ask me, do you need air gap requirements or not? Do you have any specific requirements in the network? No, you have to ask me all these questions, no? Now, when you ask me all these questions, then you will get a clarity on what network, where to start, on how many components will be there. Did you ask me that, do you need a firewall security or do you need any kind of security in the network or not? For example, you suggested me a dummy switch in my network. Without asking me, you suggested dummy switch. What if I asked you that I want VLAN segregation? Will the dummy switch work? Okay, you bought a intelligent switch. You bought a manageable switch. Let's say, no, rather, you bought a manageable switch. Okay, and then you configured. But later I am coming back and say I want RIP protocol to be configured. Manageable switches may not have protocol configuration. I may not run RIP. I may not be able to run OSPF on a protocol. I may not run OSPF protocols on layer 4 devices on a router. You just placed a managed router. No, you need to ask me these questions so that you will come up with the better diagram. So that means I expect that you ask me all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions so that you come up with a right architecture to me. So that means what you should know here is you should know how to design networks in different scenarios, correct? With the
Yes.
different requirements, with the different scenarios in different places, in different environments. If you have done all this job, then you as a consultant can help me out in asking right questions, and that right questions will lead to the a fair balanced requirements between your thought process and the customer requirements. And the same thing happens in Azure CI/CD also. So before you tell that, Nishant, what can we suggest? Now, do you have knowledge on all the Azure tools? Is the first question. Yes, Nishant, we have knowledge on all the Azure tools. Excellent. Then second knowledge. Do you know how to integrate all these tools combined together? Yes, Nishant, we have all the knowledge to combine all these together. Okay, then go for the consulting. And then you say, okay, boss, you tell me your requirements or you just give me hints. I'll come up with the architectural diagram based on what you have given me hints. He will say, sometimes customer will say, no, Nishant, I don't know what is my requirement. Then you as a consultant has to rightly probe. Okay, sir, you don't know what you need. Let me explain you what I worked. Let me explain you what I worked and what scenarios I have worked for a similar company like yours. For example, okay, you're going for a milk manufacturing company and they are asking you to implement security. And the CEO of there is telling that, sir, except milk management, I don't know anything. What will you say? Okay, boss, you don't know what you want. Don't worry. Tell me what you want to achieve. Okay, boss, I want to achieve this. If he says, I don't know what I want to achieve, then you're not in the right place. He will say something. No, okay. You will ask them. Okay, sir, you don't know anything. Do you have an IT team? Yeah, he will call one IT person. He may also don't know anything. You may ask, okay, what kind of systems you have? He'll say, no, no, sir, I don't remember. Okay, don't remember. No, no problem. Take me to your data center. I'll go look at it. Show me if you have any network diagram. I'll go ahead and understand. Show me if you have any devices, just give me access. I'll go ahead and understand what is your requirement and then do it. See here, being a consultant, you need to proactively ask them because customer may not know it. So when you suggest, when you architect things, you have to ask right questions. That responsibility is on you because the customer, the person who is requesting you may not know anything or he may know everything, but he will not reveal. He will not reveal everything in one go. He will reveal one by one as we progress. So even on Azure or cloud, did you have knowledge on all the services? That is first important. Did you work on all the services? See, for example, someone has implemented you. Someone has asked you to implement a security. So you have worked on all Azure modules. You have worked on all damn Azure modules in security. But someone is coming up and saying, hey, I want you to implement security for my resources in Azure cloud. You know what we'll say? Okay, fine, I will go ahead and implement. But I'm asking you to implement it in. I'm asking you to implement it for my Azure Kubernetes. Boss, I did not work on Kubernetes. How can you provide Kubernetes security? Then you said security, no? Security you can implement. Then how can you do it on Kubernetes? Correct, no? If you have implemented security, I'm expecting that you have implemented Kubernetes security also. But later, when the requirement came, oh, I implemented security, but I have never done it for Kubernetes. Then means you should have a Kubernetes knowledge there. That means you have to have a Kubernetes knowledge there so that you can assist your customer. That means ultimately you as a consultant or the person who is implementing it should have fair knowledge on multiple tools because your customer may ask you any requirement. This is one type of scenario. The other type of scenario is, Nishant, I am already working in a company. I know my company is using tool number 1, tool number 2, tool number 3, tool number 4. And I need to learn only these 4 tools security. Okay, that's very well. In your organization, when you have only 4 tools being used, only learn that specific so that you can immediately meet your customer requirements.
Yeah, Nishant, it's very clear now. Thanks a lot.
Guys, please feel free to discuss because things from a thought process point of view, things will be different. When you implement, things will be different. So you should know that, OK, what thought process will help you being a consultant so that you can come up. Because one thing in any case is that you should have prior knowledge of everything that your customer is asking so that you can suggest them. That is for sure.
And Nishant, there's one question when we
Yeah.
go for selecting a platform or the operating system with certain CPUs and RAM size and all. When we look into the pricing, how in reality that pricing will be taken into consideration? Should we or should the cloud engineer has to seek an approval before he build the VM with certain
Mm.
pri- prices? I mean, if it is too expensive, again, there could be a question. And if it is too low and if it is not really justifying the requirement, how in reality that will be consulted within the organization in building
Good.
any machine?
Good. So let's catch the one person. There will be one person who is responsible for the money. No, catch that person first and ask them these questions. Boss, do you want to take responsibility of managing the pricing, or do do uh, do you want me to take responsibility? Ask this very simple question because you are the engineer who is going to work on cloud. If they tell you that no, every time you implement a server, you have to come back to me and take an approval. If they tell you that every time you implement a server, you have to come up with estimation, how much CPU, how much RAM is required for our application, and what is the estimated cost. Submit the estimated cost to us, and then we approve it, and then you do the implementation. Is one method. Or the full control is given to you. You do whatever it is. The entire budget is $50,000 per month. You do whatever you want. Build the infrastructure, but you should not cross more than $50,000 per month. That's your budget. This is a different way of looking at it. Now, let's take your case only, Pawan, so that it will help you. In your organization, which method will you get chance? Like the first method or the second method, where you will be given a budget and say you manage all your requirements, or they will say, OK, boss, every time you want to implement something, come back to me, give an estimation. What method works out for you?
Okay, I would not be in a better position to answer this question, but it's just on the scenario based where I wanted to understand how this approach will be taken, because we have been configuring some of the servers based on just to see the lab how it works. But in reality, how it
Correct.
works is what my curiosity was.
No, it is actually same. It's actually same. The thing is, in the lab, what you are doing was the second method. I have given you $100 budget. Correct.
Right.
You have been given $100 budget. Now, in that $100 budget, I'm teaching you. I cannot cross more than that. So what I need, that means I should know for each service that I'm going to consume, how much is the cost. So if I could have done an average cost estimation, I'm getting that maximum in any worst case, you will not cross more than $50. So that means I have $50 more buffer. In any worst case, if any learner does differently, I still have capability. Or I still have enough buffer space.
Okay. And one more thing I noticed, Nishant, I don't know if others also had experienced the same thing or not. As we have $100 budget in our Azure portal, well, we created so many labs and we kind of removed the resources at the same time. At least after
Correct.
doing certain activities, end of the day we removed it. But there is no much deduction happened in the budget. At least $1 has been deducted so far, if I have to say. But how this basically, if I say when we create any resource group and associated other services, if we retain that for a day, then the deduction will happen, or if we just create and remove in certain hours.
Good. Very good question. So let's ask this question. For example, if you have created a Windows server, no? Windows servers are charged per hour. Per hour billing will be given to Windows. That means if you run Windows server for 15 minutes or 45 minutes or 59 minutes, you will be having one billing. For example, for 1 hour, if they say that they will charge you $20, so you run for 15 minutes or you run for 59 minutes, you will be charged $20. This is the pricing strategy. Then if you spin a Linux machine, OK, if you run 15 minutes, every 15 minutes they will do billing. That means whether you run 1 minute or 14 minute, 59 seconds, one billing strategy will come. 15 minutes, 15 seconds till 19 minutes, 22 seconds, same billing. So for every type of service you chose, the billing cycle will change. Then accordingly, billing will happen. If you say for a firewall, for example, Sentinel, okay, log workspace. What happens is if you inject 10 GB per day, till 10 GB per day, it's like this. Till 10 GB per day, the pricing is $50 per GB. Till 10 GB per day, you will be charged $50 per GB. The moment you cross more than that, for example, 11 GB per day, then you will be fall under a different bracket where you will be charged $30 per GB. Because you started consuming more, I'll decrease the price for you. It's a different strategy. So that it is very important for us to understand which service you are using and what billing.
Okay.
See what we are doing. We are creating things and we are deleting things immediately. So we are not worried about things. No, you could have asked me, Nishant, what could have happened if I could have left it like that? I could have done that. On the first week, I could have done some VMs. I could have left it. But what will happen is, maybe I don't know, you are a student who want to do more lab practice. What happens if I could have left and by the 25th day, your dollars are exhausted and the next 5 days you are suffering. The trainer could have optimized it in a better way so that we could have saved some cost and next 5 days we could have used it. I don't know, right? How you will react to it, whether you want it, whether you don't want it, whether you only want to study in the class or out of the class you don't want to study. And I have 20 people in the class. I cannot take a decision. So what I do, I force you to delete so that I can save the cost. And I can say, OK, boss, You have enough dollars now. If you would like to play around once again, please feel free to play around. So that will become a practice and you have enough dollars to do something else also. Because I don't know what requirements you will get. Maybe you want to practice something else. Maybe you saw a tutorial and then you want to implement exactly like that. For example, you saw a firewall class and then what you thought, OK, what happens if I create 2 firewalls? What happens if I go ahead and create 10 log workspaces? If you would like to practice that way, you need number of credits, no?
Yeah.
And also being like this will also help you personally. The reason is I have paid $547. I still remember I have paid $547. I was so busy with my day-to-day work and trainings that for one of the training, I created a firewall. Palo Alto firewall I have created for one of my trainings in AWS. I literally forgot about it. After 1 month, every 1 month, I'll get a billing cycle. After 1 month, I realized that I got $547 bill just for Palo Alto marketplace pricing. Marketplace pricing. So there is a marketplace price from where you can purchase Palo Alto. And for running this Palo Alto on a 16 GB machine, 16 GB EC2 instance and 8 core processor with certain GB RAM, around 12,000 in INR. 12,000 INR and then $547 marketplace pricing for Palo Alto. I blindly paid this amount. I could not do anything. Did I use this? No. Was this useful for me throughout the month? No. Just I forgot. I have created so many services. Out of that, this was one service and then I forgot to delete this, except this. And I paid. I have to pay. So if that consciousness is not there from the starting, you will end up paying like this. But after ending up paying like this, after that you will never forget. You will say, that's OK, boss. I will delete if I want. I'll spend 15 more extra minutes and recreate. Your strategy will change. You'll say, OK, boss. Rather than paying that $600, it is better. I will shut down. Whenever I come back, I'll do it. I'll recreate it, or I'll stop the service. Whenever I come back, I'll start the service. That will automatically come once you start paying money. Till now, you're not paying money. That may not pinch. But the moment you start adding your credit cards, and every month credit card gets debited because of some service running and you're not using, you will start feeling the pinch. So that I have faced. I don't want that to be faced by someone else. So that's why I always, in all my courses, I force them to shut down immediately after the class. And I write the instructions there itself so that you delete it because it's not required after that.
On a lighter note, is it not possible to kind of go back and claim if something which we have not?
You can do that. You can do that. For example, here for 12,000 rupees, I can claim it. But you will get 1 or 2 times chance. Every time you cannot claim it. And you should give a valid reason that why did you create? For example, you say, OK, boss, I want to try this feature out. So I thought, I'll go ahead and do it. But consciously, you have only taken decision, no, that you want to do it. So at most they will say, OK, boss, we will give you 50% reduction. But first time they will give, second time they will give, third time they will not give. Because they will see the frequency, how much time you have reclaimed it. So every time you cannot make mistake. Every time you cannot say, oh, I have done a mistake. And here, marketplace, they will never bill. So there are 2 things. One is AWS billing. The other one is a marketplace billing. Marketplace billing means it is the Palo Alto who will bill me via AWS. So you cannot get redemptions on this. At most what you can get is this 12,000. For me, 12,000 is OK because I'm OK to pay 12,000, not $547. Major price is this, no? So at most once or twice you will get chance. After that, they will never approve your thing. You cannot ask for a waive off. For example, what we have done, I'll tell you. In one of our classes, in Reva only, this is an experience. In Reva's first batch, we very clearly said to participants, we have given full accounts. Huh? We have given full accounts, administrator accounts for every participant in the class. What happened? I taught them how to create a certificate authority in a first batch. You know, certificate authority costed $10,000, sorry, 10,000 rupees per candidate. Per candidate, 10,000 rupees was the charge. So 85,000 was the bill that Reva University got for 15 days. For 15 days, 80,000 rupees got the bill. Why? People thought, okay, Nishant said to delete, but no one deleted it. 8 candidates did not delete it. Out of 14 candidates or something like that. They did not delete it. They thought, okay, what will happen? We are not paying, no, because they did not put their credit card in the account, right? So no one felt that pinch. But later, when we saw the bill, see what I assume when I say, please go ahead and delete, I assume that the student will delete it. But if you guys don't delete it, what will happen? Automatically, the billing will come. And then later we realize that this model will not work out because people don't follow things sometimes. I'm not telling you, but yeah, people don't follow things and that's a human nature. We don't follow what people says. And okay, we may have our own urgencies and then we may forget. So we changed the model where you give a credit, let him be in the control and let him consume it. If he is if he is in a position to consume all the credit, let him ask for more credits. We'll give more credits if required. And that model worked out for all the batches. You're getting me right. Again, here it's not the Reva University phase. It's that later you may also face the same situation. Personally, when you want to practice. So let me ask this question. Now you got comfortable with cloud, right? If I ask you to enable your own cloud account, that means if I ask you, hey, now you become comfortable. Now you know how to optimize cost. Can you add your credit card? And can you start practicing on your own? How many of you are ready? Adding credit card to the cloud provider and start practicing as you like. Are you guys ready? Are you guys with me? No?
Yeah.
Why no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, some people are ready. Good. That's more important. That means you should put that gut feeling that okay, boss, if I'm going to create, I'm going to delete. So with that gut feeling, you will jump in. Okay.
Nishant, just another question. Again, since we're talking about the pricing, ideally there would be some amount. I mean, there would be a budget set for such kind of an activity, right? Based on the consultant on whosoever can decide on what kind of services to be implemented. The ideal practice, or just trying to understand.
Yeah. See, for example, now how do you come up with a budget also is important. So if you're an Azure customer, for example, let me log in again so that I can create estimation. Yeah. So currently I have a Microsoft calculator, which will help me to calculate my own pricing. If you give an estimation, for example, I would like to take virtual machines, which everyone is comfortable with. So now you select what you want. There's so many options in front of you. First thing. Now, do you want support to be included or not? Let's estimate, guys. Let's all give one estimation. Do you want virtual machine support from Azure or not? Is it developer support you want, standard support you want, professional direct support you want, or you want something which is already included as a part of the machine? I'll cancel everything so that you will have a very clear estimation. 1 second. Now select a product to choose the scenario. Okay, virtual machines. By default, it's giving me a couple of options. I'll remove that. Yeah, so the virtual machine support. Now, what type of licensing platform do you want to go for? Microsoft Customer Agreement, Enterprise Agreement, Microsoft Online Service Agreement. Then accordingly, the billing will change. Accordingly, the billing will change. Now, what type of billing profile would you like to apply? So we don't have any available agreements. That means I can make an agreement with Microsoft. I can make a billing agreement with Microsoft where you can say that, hey, Microsoft, I'm going to give you minimum business of $10,000 per month. What is the reduction that you will give me? Like you can negotiate and bargain. Do you want to see for dev and test environments? Yeah, this will be, see, dev and test pricing has been applied. That means when I say dev and test pricing, no, it will be less performance servers. If I disable this, you will get high performance servers. And you will be paying $152. And look at this. At this moment, virtual machine by default is configured as 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM. Okay. Now, so we got this. But where can I choose my size? They should give me, no? They should give me a flexibilities to save the size, no? For this pricing, they have given this. Okay, here they have given me another option. Okay, not this. I only need one service. But if you see, this is very specific given. If they could have given me sizes for each virtual machine, different size. Maybe here, if you click, you see here in which region you want to create. For example, East US. Look at the pricing in West, $152. If you go to India, Central India, it's $143. Now, which operating system? Windows or Linux? If I select Windows, what type of operating system? BizTalk server, SQL server, or only OS? Now, what type of tier? Basic tier or standard tier? See, for basic tier, same. See, look at the configuration. One CPU, 7.5 GB RAM, sorry, 0.57 GB RAM. You are paying $13. But if you go for a standard version, you are paying $14. Same configuration, $14. And then you can choose a different size. For example, you say 8 core 14 GB RAM, 605, $573. If I select 2 core 3.5 GB RAM, you'll pay $143. That too, if I change it to Linux, look at the same server configuration with Linux, you're paying $95 only. That too, if you choose a basic tier, same $70. And how, like, do you want what capacity? For example, do you want CPU? Do you want GPU? Yeah, you can select the other ones all. 18 core, you pay $388. Now, how many hours per day you want to run? So totally per month, 730 hours. 31 days you want to run, or per month. For example, I say only 15 days in a month I will run. 15 days means 15 full days. Your price will be half. And if you say, OK, I'll run 2 virtual machines, 15 days each, $334. So there is a lot of options here that are given to you. You should know what is required for you. So for example, Nishant, for this server, I want to add a terabyte disk. OK, one disk will cost you $1.6 per month for 32 GB. So I want to add a terabyte. It will cost me $45. So if you add 10 disks, $450. And I want to take a backup of this disk every day. OK, now do you want to take the backup on a local region level or a global region level? Zone level. Now for each GB you take snapshot, you will be charged $0.05. So if you take 100 GB snapshot, so not 100 GB, 1024. No, our disk is 1024 size. So if you take 1024 GB snapshot, you will pay $51. Now, how speed you want to do transactions? How much network bandwidth you want? 5 Gbps. I want 50 Gbps outbound transfer speed. Okay, you pay this much. And the bill will change. And then you can export it as an estimate and give it. So you as an engineer should have a clarity on what you need. If we have not got any clarity, no problem. Choose something which is default. Continuously monitor, record what you want, and then next time estimate the billing. That is what most of the people will do. Most of the people, you know what they do? They first go with the default configuration. And they realize that. Oh, this may not work out. We need to increase the CPU. We need to increase the RAM. We need to increase that. We need to increase this. And then they will migrate. It's a continual improvement process.
And Nishant, while we have configured something in the beginning of the month and we accepted some pricing, and later during the mid of the month we understand, okay, this is not working, and if we have to change the configuration, I'm sure there will be some flexibility in it. But how the billing?
Yeah. So pro rata, it's considered as pro rata.
Okay.
On till that day, whatever was the, for example, monthly you are paying $15, $50, and you have done exactly at 15th day. Then you will be only charged for $25. It's pro rata basis. From that point of view, clouds are very fair. They will do everything on a pro rata basis.
And one more question: to have fair knowledge on all the tools, while and just adding on to Krishna's question earlier, to get a fair idea on all these tools which supposed to be used or which are going to be used in day in day out from the architecture level. Is there any source that resource that we have so that we get some background to what this tool is all about and how we can leverage if it has to be looked at?
See, that comes with a use case.
Okay.
Because use case will tell you what services you need. That I can only tell you, because how many services also need, in what condition, that we cannot tell immediately. Because for example, if you ask me, no, Nishant, I want to build a end-to-end automation. But I want to use some services of Azure, some services like GitHub, which is free, which they will not charge you. So then it may look a little differently. You're getting the point that I'm coming from, no? Because we'll not be able to come up with a specific strategy that you need 1, 2, 3, 4 skill. Because in your use case, we don't know. Like for example, in your organization, what requirement comes that I cannot think of. You got me.
Yeah.
Maybe you can say that, Nishant, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 thing. Then we can suggest you what works, what may not work. Maybe you can put up your question there and we can discuss about it.
Okay. Currently, I don't have any specific to it, but
maybe in the future also, if you come across something of that sort, yeah, do let me know so that accordingly we can discuss on that specific things, because these are very, very subjective. because of this subjectiveness, it is difficult to discuss also. Because that will be subjective, because hey Nishant, you said that, but it may not work out in our organization because our organization structure is different, model is different, or I don't even use that.
Yeah.
Getting no? Cool. Let's go ahead and do some hands-on, but before I jump in, we'll take a very quick break. And then after coming back, we'll go ahead and discuss on the Azure monitoring. That's where our next concept is going to come. Today, we are going to only work on two things: Azure monitoring and Microsoft Defender for cloud. These are the two labs that you guys are going to do. Apart from this, I am going to teach you something extra, that is Sentinel, which is not a part of the lab part, but I'll teach you some. I'll give you additional knowledge on Sentinel, because uh, Sentinel itself is a very big animal. It's a very big animal, like Splunk. It's an animal. It's an ocean. This is also an ocean. Yeah, don't want to confuse you with so many things. First, once you get comfortable, and then I'll give you some time to revisit, redo the labs, and let me know if you have any issues. And then maybe in the second half of the day, we will see if we can go ahead and do some exercises together. Okay.
Yeah, addition.
Yeah.
I
Yes, sir.
somewhere actually I came across logical apps which can be used for linking up multiple apps in
Services.
Azure.
Correct.
Can we
Absolutely.
just get a small base details
Sure.
about some basic idea?
Sure, sir. We will do that. See, I'm happy. You ask me questions, I'll be happy to discuss various concepts and see, how it can fit for your security job also. Logic apps is used a lot for our security job, for alerting. We need alerts.
Yeah.
No? So not every service comes with an alert. So logic apps can be used to build reports for you. Logic apps can be used to build analysis. We will talk about that.
Great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we'll take a very quick 20-minute break, guys, and I'll see you in 20 minutes. Now, what's the time over there? It's around 11:20. I'll see you at 11:40 and we will continue. Okay. Hello, welcome back everyone. Can I get a quick confirmation if everyone is here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, thank you.
Hello.
One second, guys. Yeah, good, thank you. So I'll give you one document. Again, this is a little may not meet your requirements, but may add some value, I think. This is a small ebook that is released from Microsoft itself on DevSecOps. So I'll tell you why this area is actually booming. Today, everyone wants automation in their infrastructure. Do you all agree with me? That everyone wants automation. No one wants to do manual tasks. Now, when you don't want to do manual task, okay, but you want everything to be completed with automation. So what you do from the time you do software development till you deploy it, somewhere or other, you will bring some options. Correct? Somewhere you will bring an automation. Somewhere you will bring some change. One change that is actually ruling the world now is the DevOps. That means you are trying to automate your end-to-end life cycle of your software development with the help of DevOps. Now, if you implement DevOps as it is, when will you do security testing? After the product deployment. After the product deployment, if you do security testing, it's a challenge. It's a very big challenge because product development is very faster in the world of DevOps, where every day you will go ahead and release n number of versions, and security team will not be able to cope up with that requirements, or security team will not be able to meet that criteria, that which version, what vulnerabilities were there, they will not be able to track. So what you do, you say was, okay, while you're doing the DevOps itself, we will implement something called as DevSecOps. That means as a part of the DevOps process, you will implement the security. As a part of the DevOps process itself, you will implement the security. So here you see, this is if you take this as a very simple enterprise DevOps, where you have your developer environment, that is your device, that is your laptop, you have a couple of extensions, you have a Wi-Fi, and via the Wi-Fi, you connect to the DevOps environment. And this DevOps environment will go ahead and deploy the application onto the Azure cloud. Now, this DevOps environment can be Azure DevOps or it can be a third-party DevOps. And you will see there are various attack vectors. There are various attack vectors. You can just observe that. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. So there are different attack vectors. For example, the credentials are typically stored on the user device. So privileged credential hijack possible. You may be using a lot of third-party extensions in your development environment, extension application vulnerabilities. You may be using hundreds of dependencies in your application development, dependency management. You may be connecting to Wi-Fi and other hotspots, remote connection hacks. Yeah, then here, whenever your code base has to be developed, built, you may have to talk to the build engine, you may have to talk to the development engine, you may have to talk to a couple of servers. Then you need to maintain the secrets. Then you have malware intrusion here, different integrations. Then the attack surface vulnerabilities will be there. Then because this platform environment is going to be connected to the application development environment, then there will be authentication here. So there again a privilege escalation can happen. The
Nishant,
data
are you
breach
sharing
here.
something?
Oh, you're not seeing it? Sorry. Sorry, my bad. Oh, then I was explaining all this before. This is the environment I was talking. Maybe I want you to observe this. I was speaking a lot, but just observe this and then we will talk. The same thing that I was speaking. It will be easy. Maybe you got an idea what I was discussing. So this is the developer environment where the developer has his own device. He may have a lot of credentials that he is configured to integrate. He may be deploying it to some other server, so he could have already created a lot of credentials. He may be using a lot of extensions. He's connected to a wireless network, and then he pushes the code to a DevOps environment. There are a couple of processes in the DevOps, and then once the process is done, that environment will go ahead and deploy the application on a application environment. Again, a simple workflow where the security can be taken into consideration. Now, even if you take only developers environment, yeah, only developer environment, if you take and zoom in, there are so many areas that the data flow is there, and there are so many areas that an attack vector can happen. There may be multiple attack vector areas. Now, this is a type of security that no one is thinking of. Earlier, this kind of security, this kind of things are never considered as a part of security. For most of us, or in the legacy world, security means offensive, defensive, vulnerability assessment, penetration testing. Security, defensive security means IDS, IPS, firewall, identity and access management. That was the legacy world. But in the world of cloud, automation, infrastructure security comes as a part of the code. Infrastructure security comes as a part of the code. Have you ever thought of this? That today you write in your organization, have you heard about 27001? Information Security Management System? Any one of you? Good, Niranjan. Now tell me how many average documents you will create for a 27001 compliance? Average. Easily you will create 50 documents. That policy, this policy, that procedure, this procedure, change management, incident management, batch management, password management, non-disclosure agreement, organization level policy, risk management framework, and risk management documents, business continuity management. For all the 114 controls that are active in 2013, you will pretty much have documentation for everything, correct? Now, how do I convert that documentation into implementation? So what happens? Whatever the documents are there, that is given to the IT team. IT team will go through all the documents and implement it. Correct? And then auditor will come and verify. And auditor does it on a sampling basis. So out of 100 systems, he'll pick up 4 or 5 systems. And in that 4 or 5 systems, if he finds it compliant, he will give you that you are compliant with 27001. That's a legacy way of doing it. Today, there is something called as policy as a code. That means whatever the policy that you want to write, you can write it, but in the form of a code. So if you want 8-character password as a policy, just write the policy as 8-character password. You have to convert that into a code. There are platforms where you write a piece of code and say this is the policy I want to enforce across my organization. All devices are connected to this policy management engine, where it will go ahead and push, telling that OK, out of 100 systems across my organization, 75 systems are actually following this policy and 35 systems are not following. This will give you a clarity, and this is fully automated. This is called as policy of a code. That means everything is converted into a code rather than a document. A Word document will still be there for a non-technical user, but for a technical user, it is converted into a code. Policy as a code, infrastructure as a code, compliance as a code, configuration as a code, deployment as a code, security as a code is the strategy that is being implemented in the cloud. Yeah. Again, we'll look at the secret management. Look at the secret management options here. I'll just show you one more architecture in this. Here, yeah. Here. As a developer, I go ahead and push my code to the GitHub. Then it will go ahead and build a simple. On a self-hosted runner, it will go ahead and do a Docker build, and Docker needs credentials. It may have to go to Vault, and Vault will go ahead and give you the credentials, and that credentials are used to run your mobile applications or code on a specific server. Again, here you see, here there are a lot of secrets because your GitHub has to talk to an engine. So that means authentication should happen. This engine should talk to another engine. Then authentication should happen. Then deployment should happen. For their authentication is required. So in all these areas, security is coming into the picture. Now, all this, if you look at, ultimately, you need to do a continuous monitoring in all these areas. You need to perform something called as continuous monitoring in all these areas. So if I talk about a little more advanced architectures, I'll go into that. So just to give you a good picture. Okay, keeping this aside, I have shared the link for you. Now, if I take legacy technologies that you learned, if I take legacy technologies that you learned in the class, a simple architecture would look like this. And when I say simple architecture, a fully secured VM. A fully secured VM with full authentication would look like this. I'll give you the reference URL for this. Can you quickly look at this, please? I'll give you 10 minutes time to quickly go through the link. I have also given you the same link in the chat box. OK, same URL I have given you in the chat box. In case if you are unable to open that URL, you can even observe on my screen. Look at how many components will be there and what kind of security we can apply. And have you seen some of these security components in our class? So, and OK, I'll give you 10 minutes time. Go through this and then we will talk. What you have seen, what you have not seen, we will talk. Guys, I hope you got a fair chance to look at this. No, let's talk in detail about this. OK. Now, did you see some of the technologies that you have learned is used here? What technologies that you learned is used here? Can anyone tell me?
Policy service.
George, actually, when you unmute, no, there is a tuck 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 sound. Something is coming as well. Is it for me only or for everyone?
It's for everyone.
Everyone?
Don, well,
Sorry, again coming. That audio. George. Joel George, yeah. Sorry. Okay, cool. Let's understand. Did you learn about conditional access? Did you guys learn about conditional access? Sorry, Joel, we cannot hear you. No, all this time we cannot hear you since morning. Okay, no worries. Guys, did you learn about conditional access or not? No? Guys, did you learn conditional access or not?
Yes, Nishant.
When? In the last class. Guys, I am hoping that I have given you one exercise. No? Did you complete that exercise? Did you guys do this exercise completely? This is where we learned conditional access, no? Didn't we learn last week? Remember, I was showing you conditional access. See, test the conditional access policy. We did this, no, in the last week's class. Yeah. So first what happens is, I'll tell you, this is a defense in depth model. This is a defense in depth model. In this defense in depth model, we are using 5 different security functions. We are using 5 different security functions. One is Azure Active Directory Privileged Identity Management. We are using a concept called as Azure Active Directory Privileged Identity Management. Second concept is just-in-time VM access feature for Microsoft Defender for Cloud that we are going to learn now. Then Azure Bastion Host. Did we learn Bastion Host concept? Yeah.
Yes.
Did we learn role-based access control? And
Yeah.
then conditional access. So what are we trying to achieve in this cases? We want each user to be legitimate. Non-legitimate users should not access my infrastructure. And each user should have a legitimate intention. With a bad intention, I don't want my users to access my machines. And any communication that happens is secure. And access to the virtual machines in Azure is only provided when required, not every time. It's not that you have 24/7 access at any point of time you log in. No, whenever you want to log in, then only the access is given. And after that, the access is removed. Is it a good idea or a bad idea? Rather than giving you access 24/7, what we say is whether you log in or log out, doesn't matter. Today you want to troubleshoot for 1 hour, you will only get access for 1 hour. After that, the access is removed. So hackers cannot misuse your existing privileges. Clear? Now, in this case, what are we telling? The administrator want to troubleshoot. For example, the administrator would like to troubleshoot this Linux machine or this Windows machine. He want to do SSH or he want to do RDP. And whenever he want to do RDP, we want him to meet certain criteria. We want him to meet certain criteria. If he doesn't meet the criteria, he will never get access. If he meets the criteria, he will get access. So let's go ahead and understand what is going to happen. First thing, first a user, he doesn't have access to the VMs. He doesn't have access to the infrastructure. No infrastructure access, nothing. Is this clear? First, he don't have access to anything. So what user will do is, a user will first authenticate. He will enter his credentials and ask, hey, I would like to authenticate first myself. OK, the request will go for the conditional access engine. Conditional access engine will trigger a policy and the policy will tell this user would like to access Azure portal. Can he be granted? Yes. If the conditions are satisfied, he will be granted access. So now he got the Azure portal access. After getting Azure portal access, he want to modify and troubleshoot a VM. He want to modify and troubleshoot a VM. Then next, the user will send a request. The user will send a request just-in-time access. He will send a just-in-time access request asking that, hey, I would like to troubleshoot 1, 2, 3, 4 virtual machines. Yeah, I want you to give me access. I want you to give me access. He will request. When I say he will request, not in English, he will click on a button and he will be getting it. So he will request and then there is a temporary custom role. There is a temporary custom role that gets allocated to this user, ensuring that he has multi-factor authentication enabled and a request should go to his manager. A request will go to his manager asking that this user X is asking for a custom role. Would you like to give? Once the manager approves it, this temporary custom role is allocated to this person. Now that means at this moment, after the step number 2, the user got a temporary Azure role-based access control for the same account that he has. It's not a new account. For the same account that he has, he get a role-based access control permissions. Is this clear? Authentication is done by Azure Active Directory. Authorization and just-in-time access is done by Azure Active Directory Privileged Identity Management module. And then Privileged Identity module will give access to current user, telling that, hey buddy, from now you can go ahead and access the servers. That too for a limited time. So then the user will go ahead and send a request. He has done identity-based JIT. Identity-based JIT means, OK, for my identity, give me access to 6 hours. For my identity, for Nishant, give 6 hours of access. And then that 6 hours of access, I will take that permission. I will go to Network Defender for Cloud. Sorry, Microsoft Defender for Cloud and say, hey, I have access to I have verified my identity and my identity got approval for 6 hours. That means 6 hours I can do any operation. That's how I got it. Please validate it. Then he will request. Identity got approval. That means this identity can talk to the network. And then at a network level, I'm asking permissions that, hey, out of 6 hours, give me 2 hours to do network management. Out of 6 hours, give me 2 hours for network management. So then the moment just-in-time is allocated, network access just-in-time is allocated, automatically just-in-time module will trigger an open port. It will trigger an open port to 3389 or SSH22 on the machines that he has requested for via the Bastion host. So his user IP will be allocated automatically and automatically a port gets opened for that specific time For that 6 hours he requested, for that 4 hours he requested, he will get automatic ports open. And then a user can go ahead and use his temporary authorization to access the network via the Bastion host. Authentication by Active Directory, privileged identity access management, and then remaining everything is going to happen in the Azure subscription inside the VNet. Is this clear? The workflow? I'll also give you a few minutes, like 5 more minutes. Whatever I explained you, they're already there as a workflow here. I want you to go through this and then we will have a discussion on this, because it is very, very important that learning different services is more important and integrating all those services as a workflow is important. I hope you agree with me, right? Integrating all the services into one workflow is important. Maybe Sri Krishna, today morning we started discussing, right? I think now you are able to put up your thoughts as a use case.
Yeah, Nishant.
This is what we were discussing. Maybe did I understood correctly?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Sri Krishna. Guys, the link is here in the chat box. Please go through this link. Very, very important. Yeah. While you go through this, you have the link, no? I'll take a very quick pause and come back. OK, I'll take a very, very quick pause. Get some water and come back. Give me 5 minutes. Meanwhile, you go through this. Okay. Any questions, guys? So there are lot of components, right, that has to be integrated. And one thing is you need to understand each of them at a separate level and then integrate all of them together as a single workflow. I'll go ahead and show you how to enable JIT and one-time access for the uh, VMs using the experiment. I'll show you the lab now. This JIT lab, which I did not taught you before, I'm going to teach you. OK, you understood the entire workflow, no? Now I'll take a small piece of it and I'll teach you step by step. Yeah. Any questions, guys? Anything that you would like to discuss on this part? Sure, no questions. Anjanelu, Joel, Kinjal, Manjunath, Marimutu, Pavan, Shreyas, Sudagar, Vasudev. We don't have Venkateshwara today. Huh?
So Nishant, this flow is basically for a user who has no access to how he gets authenticated, authorized, and then he gets into the just-in-time access for the VM.
Correct. Correct. It's an end-to-end flow. Correct. For an individual user. True, that's correct. Okay, let's go back and look at the implementation. So first I'll go ahead and show you the experiment on Azure monitoring. That's what we are going to do in this lab. Okay, as a part of this lab, we are going to do these activities. So first, we are going to create a virtual machine. And this virtual machine is going to be monitored by Log Analytics Workspace. So Log Analytics Workspace is a very similar concept like an SIEM or like a network monitoring tool. You have an NMC, right? Network monitoring tools. You have Nagios, Prometheus kind of tools. This is very similar to that. The benefit of this guy is this can monitor as well as it can capture your logs. In posh terms, in the latest posh terms, it's called as telemetry. Telemetry means getting to know each and everything about that system. Yeah, you'll go ahead and continuously monitor. So you'll be having, we have to deploy one of the virtual machines. Then after that, we have to create a log analytics workspace and then enable the virtual machine extension with the log analytics workspace. Then collect virtual machine event and performance data. And we will query and check what data we can collect. Security monitoring cannot happen in one day, or you will not get all the logs in one day. It is a continuous process. For example, first half an hour, you may not even get a single log because you are not performing any operations. No. So in case if you are unable to get logs due to any reason, that's absolutely fine. Is it clear? In case if you don't get any logs, don't worry. OK, let me go and start the lab. Let me log into my Azure portal. Go to my PowerShell. MSDN subscription. Yeah, I'll just hide everything. East US, create the storage. So today we will be using a couple of commands to do our job. That is, we will go ahead and create the resource group using the PowerShell. We'll go ahead and create a virtual machine using the PowerShell. Okay, let's go ahead and create a simple resource group. See the resource group command not found. Why? Because it's a bash shell. I need to switch to PowerShell. So the resource group is created. In that resource group, we are going to actually load few data. 1 second. Just a second. There is a little challenge here. Give me 1 minute. Okay, let's go ahead and create a simple module. We'll create a very simple virtual machine. And if you see here, it's asking for credentials. Please go ahead and give the credentials. Local admin is the username. Is the password. See, no size has been provided. The VM will be created with the default standard size, that is D2S V3. That's fine. So it's going to create a virtual machine for us. It's going to create a virtual machine for us. You can go to virtual machine section and wait for a couple of minutes for the spinning to complete. As I said, you remember, you can access your Microsoft Azure cloud in multiple ways. You can go ahead and deploy it using a UI. You can go ahead and use a CLI. You can go ahead and even use an API. Any questions, guys? So we are just spinning up a virtual machine here. We're just waiting for the virtual machine deployment to complete. Because once the virtual machine deployment is complete, then it will take 1 or 2 minutes for it to come up and then install the extensions. So there is an extension that gets deployed on a Azure virtual machine, and that extension will help us to continuously pick up the logs into the log analytics workspace. Okay, the VM is getting created. Just confirm that the VM is created successfully or not. Yes, the VM is succeeded. That means as of now, we have our virtual machine ready. Now I need to create a log analytics workspace. So search for log analytics. See log analytic workspaces. So you can go ahead and create a number of workspaces. I'll click on create a log analytics workspace. Click on create a log analytics workspace. Choose your platform subscription. I'm choosing my MSDN platform subscription. And it's asking for me to create a resource group. I'll just quickly create a resource group. So a resource group with the same name already exists in the selected subscription. Oh, in the selected subscription, there is already a resource group with that name. OK, let me go ahead and choose that. And the name of the log analytics workspace. So I'll just say Azure Monitor Lab workspace. And then in which region? East US region, because all my deployments are going to only happen in East US. So I'm just selecting East US. Click on review and create. Now this is just a dummy workspace. it doesn't have any intelligence at this moment. It doesn't have intelligence at this moment. It's a workspace. Now, once you enable the workspace, you will get options to make it intelligent. At this moment, it's creating an environment. You can assume that you're spinning up a Splunk instance. You can assume that you're spinning up a monitoring instance. So we are spinning up a log analytics workspace here. It's pinned. Let's go to the resource. Now there are so many options here. First thing is to fetch the data, right? See, the log analytics workspace is ready. Virtual machine is ready. Now we need to tell to our log analytics workspace that, hey, log analytics workspace, go to the virtual machines and get me the data from there. Go to the virtual machines and get me the data. So here you see here workspace data sources. Now, from where and all you want to capture the data, from where and all you would like to capture the data. See, from the virtual machines, correct? And then storage account, blah, blah, blah is there. And also you see here, select one or more sources to connect to the workspace. So we can choose Azure virtual machines. Here also virtual machines, both are fine. Here you click on virtual machines is also fine. Click here, Azure virtual machines is also fine. And it will show you the virtual machine that is running. It will show you the virtual machine that is running. See, is it connected now? Is your virtual machine connected at this moment? Is it getting monitored at this moment? No. So let's go ahead and say connect. Now what will happen? My VM is connected to this workspace. From now, my VM will report all the logs to this workspace. So it may take 1 minute to 10 minutes. So no need to worry. It will be faster. And sometimes, it will take time. And even population of the logs also will take time. So don't worry about that. But you need to do a lot of actions on the virtual machine. If you don't do actions, then you'll not be able to see things like installation, configuration, do something or other things to capture it. OK, now you see we got a successful message, refresh it. Yeah, that's it. Now we have configured our virtual machine to be connected to this workspace, and from now virtual machine is going to report to this. OK, you can close this. And you can close this also, and you are back to the log analytics workspace. Any questions on this? No. Go to the agents configuration here. Under the settings, go to agents configuration. Now, look at it. You have connected your virtual machine to be monitored. Now, on this machine, you need to tell what monitoring should happen. You need to tell on this machine what monitoring should happen. So this is the agent configuration. That means this agent which is going to run the agent which is going to run on the virtual machine, what exactly it should capture. What exactly it should capture, we need to tell. Does it need to capture Windows event logs? Does it need to capture Windows performance counters? Does it need to capture Linux performance counters? Or does it need to send syslog data? Or if it is specially running an IIS, would you like to collect W3C format IIS log files? Now, based on what you configure, you will get the logs. Based on what you configure, you will get the logs. I'll say add Windows event log. Here, I'll say add Windows event log. And there are so many Windows event logs that are there. Is this clear? I want system. See, I want all the system logs. What type of logs? I want only error and warning logs. I don't want information logs. What happens if you enable information logs? A lot of data will get, no, you'll get a lot of data and you will not be able to analyze the data properly. So I'm telling that I need only system logs, that too error and warning. Then this is one set of log I want. Apart from that, I want Windows performance counters. I want to know how my Windows is performing. So you can write different performance counters. Like this. So you can go ahead and write NUMA node memory, or you can search for memory performance counters. You see, memory command bytes in percentages, memory available bytes, memory available kilobytes, memory available in megabytes, memory caching. How my memory is performing. You see, memory available memory in megabytes. This is what I want. Now, at what rate you want to capture? Sample rate is 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds, I would like to capture the samples. OK, I will add another performance counter. This time processor. I want to calculate the processor time. Do you see so many options that are available for you to calculate at whatever depth you want, you can go. So I want to calculate the processor time. Then I want to add event tracing for Windows. Which will tell me which process is consuming how much amount of memory. And 60-second performance counter we are taking. Ideally, in the real world, you will enable everything. The more of logs you enable, the more charges you will get because the more amount of logs will come. Event tracing. It is page pull. This one I want. Are you with me? And apply the changes. So event logs we have configured and then performance counters we have configured because we are running a Windows machine. And click on apply. Now, if you go back to management, if you go back to your agents configuration, the agents are configured to pick up. So which agents, any VM that is associated this with that workspace, any VM that is associated with this workspace on that VMs, this agent will only capture this type of logs. So how many VMs we have configured at this moment? Only one virtual machine. Only one virtual machine is reporting to this workspace and the agent's configuration. Clear? Now we need to generate the events. No, to generate the events, we should access the virtual machine, right? If you keep the virtual machine idle, will you be able to generate the events? Guys, tell me, if you keep the virtual machine idle, will you be able to generate the events?
No.
No. So you need to access the VM. If you don't access the VM, you will not be able to generate any events. You will get null data. So I'll just go ahead and do an RDP into this machine and do some operations. Do something. Some operations you do. Whether you install a software, delete a software, something you do so that CPU is consumed, RAM is consumed, and the logs gets generated.
So did we install any client on the VM so that this
Automatic. The moment you say agent configuration, no, Venkat, it gets
okay.
installed.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, Venkateshwara, right?
Yes. Yes.
I was searching for you. Why Venkateshwara is not there in today's class?
No. No. Actually, I've joined from office, so I'm joining from different teams.
No, okay. So you're there since morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the moment you do know, the moment you connect agent, right? It auto installs the agent. No need to worry. It is pre-configured like that. Okay, now my VM is up and running. So what should I do in this VM? To identify the memory, can I run some software? If I run some software, obviously memory will be consumed, no? Yeah, if I run a software, some memory will be consumed. If I delete some huge files, the memories will be consumed. Something will happen. What I'll do, I'll just install one or two softwares and then do some blah 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 activity so that I can capture the performance events. I'll just install Google Chrome. Meanwhile, I'll open some 4-5 tools, keep it Windows Server Manager open. I'll disable some firewall events. Server Manager. I'll add a roles and features, some dummy role I will add. Maybe, for example, I want to enable IIS service. Yeah, I'll just add some features, next, blah, 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 blah. And while this runs, I'll go ahead and make a load on this by using a heavy load stress software, stress downloader. I'll just add a stress software. Install it so that I can put the stress on this machine. lot of stress running on this machine. Let's run it. Install it. While this is also going on in the background. I want to check what is my current CPU status. Task manager. Run. I hope you are observing, right? I'm just doing multiple things just to ensure that my system is actually generating some kind of events. Adobe Reader is one software which will consume good amount of memory. Yeah. While this happens, I will do some activity. Something is happening in the background. So I'll just minimize this. See, I have stress TPU, stress tree size, allocate the memory. I'll just stress that also. Enable read write temporary file. RAM is enabled. Tree size no. I'll say what is this 2 core? OK. Below the normal. OK, GPU memory is 100 MB threshold. OK, fine. And then OK, good. Let's see. Continue. It increases the stress on the machine. So that may also cause disconnection of my machine. Now let it run in the background. I'll go to my log analytics workspace. Are you guys getting me? Like what we have done? Now you can get a workspace summary of how many machines are reporting for you. What is the last 24 hours overview? You will get it. But I'll just go back to our system, go to the log section. Now this is where you have predefined log section. It's a predefined log section where it will give you almost syntax for every other log. It will give you syntax for every other log providers from a different point of view. So what we can do, we can go ahead and close this if you want. Yeah, or you can just go to all queries. You will see all the queries that you can run on this machine. So here virtual machines is there, right? Where is my virtual machines, virtual desktop containers, desktop analytics, virtual machines here. Click on the virtual machines. On this virtual machines, would you like to run what? See here on virtual machines, what data is being collected? Virtual machine available memory, virtual machine disk space, any reported errors, track the virtual machine availability, Linux kernel events, so tracker, missing security critical patches, add members to your security group. Pretty much you can do anything. I'll search for memory because we are stressing the memory. Where is the memory? Memory. I'm searching for memory. If you cannot find this way, you can search here. MEMORY memory. See memory and CPU. I would like to run that memory and CPU. So at this moment you see here, it's telling that no results found for the specified time range. For the last 1 hour, I'm just looking at it. So you can go ahead and now one thing with Azure is you have to learn how to run your own queries. The templates are available, basic templates are available. You need to identify. Now we are running it. Look at it. So every 60 seconds it's going to capture. We need to wait for a couple of minutes to see the average results. See the processor time. Average count value is 196 milli CPU is being consumed. So it can see the average time. So let's give few more minutes for it to generate the graph. So this is called as this query is known as Kusto query language. KUSTO. Now, if you want to work on Azure and Azure SIM, Security Incident Event Management, and Azure Log Spaces, Azure Management. If you want to get into log management and security incident event management, you need to learn this Custo language. This is called as Custo query language. Like YAML and all, this is its own language. So we need to learn how to run this query, very similar to the SQL, but not exactly same. It has its own structure. It has its own method of doing it. You just need to learn this. You can Azure monitoring can give you other features also here. And then you can see heartbeat. There is a spike detected. Yeah, performance. Alerts on the critical issues in the workspace. There are a lot of operations that can daily call list. Digital twin errors, if it is an IoT, hourly calls, a lot of options are available here. Azure monitoring, virtual machines, all events in the past 1 hour. Yeah, all events in the past 1 hour. Run the query. Let me see what is the average HTTP request time. If it is calculated. We did not enable the metrics anyway. Because we did not enable the metrics, we will not be able to see. Let's say CPU chart usage, because we have enabled the memory. But worried. I think you will not get it. Event by event ID. Let's see. Do we have any events that got captured? So we did not enable most of the things, so you'll not be able to see. But for the memory, you were able to see things. I hope you got it, no? If you want, you can go ahead and run a couple of scripts also. At this moment, stress is still happening. I can stop this. You can perform any operations, like we have done a couple of operations here. This is still in pending state. And I'll go here, just go to command prompt. I can run a continuous loop to consume the memory. This is there. I'll just copy. I'll go rather than here, I'll run it here. Go to the virtual machines. Go to operation section. In the operation section, you go for run command. You can increase the stress on that machine again with a different tool. You can run command. Sorry, run a PowerShell script. Here you can write something like this CMD. You can write a simple batch program. Just to increase the stress on the CPU and so that you can collect and query some data. I hope you guys are getting it right. How this can be implemented. Now you see little more better statistics. Again, you enable more configuration and you will be able to see more. The only thing is the more data you inject into the log workspace, it is costed per GB. Per GB, the costing will be there. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll just give you half an hour's time to complete this job. OK, I'll give you half an hour's time to complete the Azure monitoring. OK, and around 1:30 we will take a break after completing this exercise. And don't delete the VM, don't delete anything. OK, let it keep running for the second half. So you're getting me right?
Yeah.
Are you guys with me? So you guys are going to do this lab and don't delete any resources. Keep the resources like this for the second lab. OK, so within that 1 hour, some events gets generated, some operations you do so that can be useful for my next lab. OK, so that you will also get some data. And because anyway we are doing demo, I want you to enable all sorts of logs. Go to virtual machines, enable everything that you know, so that you will get more data. When you have more data, you can consume more. Is it clear? Maybe it could have been disconnected also. You see, it is showing me that it is trying to connect. Maybe due to some reason it is getting disconnected. I have to stop the stress. I have to stop all this to see if there is any issue due to network. Is this clear for everyone? So do this lab for the next 30 minutes, complete the lab in the next 30 minutes and take a break. Take a break, like around 1:30 you take a break and come back by 2:30 and then we will continue the Microsoft Defender for Cloud. OK, you're with me, and try to enable as many logs as possible so that you get more data points.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Thank you.